to you if you're on the call.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your kind words. You have always been kind since the time I know you. And you're right. I couldn't meet you there, but this is one of the best ways to meet in the devotee congregation, as we did. Prabhuji, could you confirm you can see the screen? I've just started the sharing.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
You are garlanding Srila Prabhupada. I can see
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Some other devotee, I guess, was fortunate enough. But thank you so much for the opportunity today. Let's pay our humble obeisances to Srila Prabhupada ji and all the acharyas before and after him to have the blessings, so we can discuss few of those fundamental concepts, I presume, which he wanted all of us to have it. So, with my folded hands, Om Ajnanatamandasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Guruvai Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Paricharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachat Desha Tarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. My humble obeisance to all the gathered and all those who are going to get associated with today's session. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for today's presence, to all those who could make it, because I know we all are very busy. So, Prabhuji asked a while back, and I didn't know where I will land in this journey of Krishna consciousness in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, like Srila Prabhupada ji always said, that the kind of studies we do, we start with Bhagavad Gita, and then Bhagavatam, and then Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is the topmost we could have, I guess, in the formal way. Of course, then a lot of nectar is around, and we can spend lifetimes getting into it. But this is the formal studies, and thanks to Prabhuji, Ramanan Kanai Prabhuji, who put together this forum. And we all are, I guess, relishing it. That's why we are here. And that's one of those things I always think that we should not have spiritual anxiety, because we already have experienced material anxiety so much. So until and unless somebody is enjoying it, I guess somebody is doing something is wrong, because bhakti got to be great and enjoyable. So I would say, like Prabhuji said, everybody has different styles, I guess. But I don't believe as such in the lectures, because the lectures are available a lot. There are so many, His Holiness, Swamiji Maharajji, great teachers, and they have delivered lectures on almost all the topics we can think of. We can just go on YouTube and we can find. So what makes these kind of sessions different is that we can have discussions. Okay? Those who are going to listen to us on YouTube, they can't ask questions. Well, until unless they are listening right now, live. And if they have any questions, and we can take that. And we have done that similar thing on a different forum, and it works. But here, while we are here in Zoom, it's better to have the conversation. It's better to have the dialogue, the discussion going, rather than just one person come along, especially somebody like myself, and speak for 45 minutes or so. So that's the plan. So feel free to chip in anytime. Anytime. You don't really need to, well, if you want, you can raise the hands. If there are so many questions, usually the format is we wait until the end and we ask questions. I always encourage ask questions as and when they come. Because if you got the question in first 5 minutes, then what's the point waiting till the end? Because rest of the session is going to be pondering because we missed those 5 minutes. Right. So a bit of background, and I'm sure you would recognize this slide. This is from Prabhuji, and I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. So because Prabhuji has so nicely put together and presented to us last week, so I thought it's a great plan just to recap with what Prabhuji has put together. And I hope Prabhuji wouldn't mind. And I found this from YouTube. So YouTubes are very nice. So those who are listening, and if you haven't followed already, follow this channel. Prabhuji's, well, many different devotees are doing great work and service here. So from Lord Chaitanya's pastime, if you think about, and before we do that, we always take the mercy of the scriptures and the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I was listening. We all start the sessions from Veer Krishna Prabhuji's melodious voice, which is a great way of starting. And here in London, it's always early in the morning. So sometimes 4 o'clock, sometimes 5 o'clock in the morning, based on what time zone we are in. But it's a great way of listening to you, Prabhuji, your melodious songs, and certainly, indeed, it's a blessing to have you in the congregation or be in that congregation where you are there. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. And that's where I think of you, Prabhuji, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, the devotee congregation, the association, when we think of each other and we really get high, I would say. So in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, we have seen what Prabhuji mentioned it, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, I know some of us here in the firm, we have already gone through and we have read, whether understood or not, that's for me. But certainly a lot of us, we have read, so we would know this, but just a brief recap. Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishna Kavidas Ji, Swamiji Maharaj, he has put together so nicely at the age of nearly 90. It's amazing how he has done it. So Adi Lila, Madhya, and the Anta. So Adi Lila, 25 years, the first 24 years mentioned there. And then if you think of it, after that, only 6. So Madhya is in the middle, only 6 years. But those 6 years where we are at the moment, we have just started chapter 1, traveled all over India. And obviously from Puri to Bengal, and then to Vrindavan. South India trip was one of the favorite ones. And that's where we are at the moment in this Madhya Lila chapter 1. And then hopefully at some point we will get to the Ante Lila as well. And then it's a Shesha, which is remaining. But last 18 years, they were very significant, very significant. And I was listening to one of the lectures, and it says, if you think about it, and I'm not going to give the number here, but what we can learn from Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji, obviously not try to imitate, but try to learn, try to inspire, because obviously he came around as in the devotee mood, the bhakti mood, what he wanted. us to follow, just like him, I guess. So how much time he spent in preaching versus how much time he spent in bhakti himself. This is one thing which Gaurang Prabhuji was discussing in one of his lectures. And I will tell you why I like that lecture so much. Because if you remember initially, and Prabhuji said that maybe my questions all are answered. And that's the reason I don't ask those questions anymore. I wish, but that's not true. Well, in one sense, I think I'm quite happy that my questions are still there, because once the questions will go away and I will be fully content, I don't know whether I will be able to move forward in this journey of Krishna consciousness. These questions, this kind of curiosity, that makes me going, that keeps me going. And so no, the questions, they haven't run out. But of course, what I have learned during the process, I got conditioned, and I understood why other devotees don't ask questions. And I understood when and where to ask questions. Well, I'm learning, but maybe that's why I don't ask so many questions, because I understand that not all the questions could be raised to all different kind of devotees in all different kind of forums. But what Gaurang Prabhuji has done in one of those lectures, which he has, it's on Hare Krishna TV, if anybody would like to follow. And the first chapter he has summarized. So while I was thinking, I was meditating what I could say on these sessions, then I heard his. And what he has done, if you remember, most of the time, this is how I go, coming from the material side of me. What's in there for me? So if I attend a lecture, if I visit somewhere, what's there in for me? What can I learn from it? Right? Until and unless there is something for me, why do I do it? Why do I go? Why do I listen? Now, of course, some of the, I would say, lucky devotees just could listen to the pastime to get so much nourishment in their Krishna consciousness. But somebody like myself need a bit more. I need to know, how can I improve my life? How can I improve my Krishna conscious life? What can I do? Is there something in this lecture which I could take home? Well, we all are home these days, but when we used to go and attend lectures, the taking home message means that something I could implement in my life. Is this lecture, this session, this talk, this conversation, this discussion going to make any difference in my life? If not, then I've heard a lot. I've heard all Bhagavatam even before I came across Krishna consciousness in SCON and getting associated with devotee. I had, but what difference it made when I read it and rereading again, as Prabhuji said, of doing Bhakti Vaibhav there, what I've learned there, what I'm learning from devotees, how I can make difference in my life. And that's where the Anta Lila last 18 chapters will come. So stick by Madhya Lila, going to go cross, and then we will learn Anta Lila. But why it's important? Because the way it's been done, and that's where I'm going to ask first question. It's strange, isn't it? Most of the time, the attendees ask the question from the speaker, but I'm one of those speakers, I guess, who ask the questions as I go along, because that's the way I keep my audience awake, because I don't know, most of the cameras are off. I don't know who is sleeping. Well, I could think at my side it's early morning, so but different devotees are from different places. If you think about it, the first two chapters of Madhya Lila, they kind of summarized Madhya Lila and Anta Lila. And then later, of course, we have the Anta Lila section where a lot of details given. But why the author did that? And that's the question I would like to put on the floor to discuss. Why the author described, mentioned briefly Madhya Lila and Anta Lila in the first 2 chapters of Madhya Lila. Any takers?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Then words. Please, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was writing Chaitanya Charitamrita, so he was almost 95 years old. So he does not know whether how many days he has in this material world. So he took it, whether he can write every Leelas of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Madhya Lila and Antya Lila. So that is why he is giving synopsis. So in the beginning of the Madhya Lila.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So good to hear from you. And correctly, if anybody would like to add anything, please do so. Otherwise, Prabhuji has said it precisely. That's the reason. And going back to the lecture, which I will happily share in the chat, that when Gaurang Prabhuji did his session, what he said, what we can learn from it. And then he started from the whole chapter. In the whole chapter, I think he has given 20 or 25 different learnings we can. And obviously, if I give the first 3, the very first one, then the author started, and I keep saying the author, I can take the name as well, which would be great because it says that Krishna's name in it. The very first thing Kaviraj Goswami mentioned is to pray to the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji, to the Lord. And this, so Gaurang Prabhuji said, that's the very first thing we should do when we always start. And that's how we should learn from acharyas. That's the very first thing, which was great and nothing most of us we do. But the second thing, which he said, and this is again when we start the Madhya Lila, chapter 1. And the next thing is when he pray and he give all his credit to Vrindavan Das Thakurji, because he has already put together, or had already put together by then, Chaitanya Bhagavatam, right? And he has given all the credits to him. And that's another learning. He said that we should give credit to each other. And I would like to give credit to Ramanand Kanai Prabhuji, not only for this forum, but many presentations he has put together. I have borrowed from him and I have did on my Bhakti Viksha. And a lot of them, they have gone on YouTube, and many of the devotees from across the world, they've been in touch saying that this is a great presentation. And I've always mentioned that Prabhuji has done it, which is a great way of cherishing our association with devotees. And that's the second lesson Gaurang Prabhuji said. And the third one, coming to this point, which Prabhuji has explained, that as and when the service comes to us, it doesn't really matter what our circumstances are, we should take it. Even though I failed that test because I was in Dwarka, when Prabhuji came and Prabhuji said, would you like to do the session? I said, Prabhuji, I'm traveling at the moment in India. I can do it, but it will be very hard. If I could do it later, once I'm back in London, that would be much better. And Prabhuji kindly gave me a slot later, which is now. But we should take the service as and when it comes to 85 years, he said, and by the time he reached to the Madhya Lila and later, he was nearly 90. And that's the reason he put together those 2. So what lesson we can learn from it? That doesn't really matter what circumstances are. We should always be eager to serve, because it's not. That's for you're going to find out very soon when I'm going to recite a couple of Bengali verses. Oh, I can't do that, right? And well, even the Bengali script is not there, but I can't read Bengali if it's not like Sanskrit, which is very close to Hindi, which I can read. But the point is not. And the reason I'm emphasizing so much on this point, because a lot of times when Nitya Narasimha Prabhuji approach to devotees, could you do it? A lot of us, I think we say, oh, well, I don't think I'm eligible. Well, I think that makes us more eligible, because we should do those things which we are not good at, because that's how we practice and that's how we move forward. Just a lesson to learn. Hare Krishna. And this is the second and this is the last slide I've borrowed from Prabhuji from last week, where Prabhuji has given the breakdown of the chapters in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it's always good to have that what we call bird view, step back and take it, and then go deep into those sections where we are really, really interested in. And for today's session, and I'm going to share this here. So today we're going to discuss 113 from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila. And I'm going to attempt to read this verse, which is a beautiful verse. It says, Shri Rangapuri Saha Tahani Milana Rama Dasa Viprena Kala Dukha Vimochana. Translation: by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Oh, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then met Shri Rangapuri and mitigated all the sufferings of a Brahmana named Ramadasa. Now, when I read this, few thoughts came into my mind. The first one, like I usually do, being very inquisitive, like Prabhuji said, that if somebody's name is mentioned, I thought, okay, let's go Google it, let's go and speak to other devotees, let's try to find a lot more about. But then I thought, if it was really that important, then why we don't have further purpose on it? Srila Prabhupada would have given that, I guess. So then I thought that, okay, let's move on and then see what we can learn from it. And Sri Rangapuri, all right, I will leave this for now, and I will tell you the reason in a bit. But then it says, mitigated all the sufferings. And this word itself is a great choice from Srila Prabhupada. Well, Srila Prabhupada has done translation from Bengali to English, so I'm giving credit to Srila Prabhupada for that. This verse, if we see, is not there. It's in the verse, if we see, and if we see word-to-word translation, it's not there, right? But, okay, I have two screens. The one I'm highlighting is not the one which is shared. But if we see word-to-word translations, then mitigation, mitigated, the word, the root word is mitigation, is not part of it. But of course, like a great friend and great devotee who is here, he told me something very, very unique in Krishna consciousness. And thank you, Prabhuji. I'm not going to take your name, but if you know who you are, then thank you so much. You have given that to me. That rather than looking for the literal meanings, it's better coming from the academics. This is what I usually do. And this is one of the fall point, I guess. But try to understand the mood of Srila Prabhupada. Then I thought, okay, that's great. So, and this is what Prabhuji explained to me, that it's better to understand the mood. So I thought, okay, let's understand the mood, why this word mitigation is used. And then, of course, it's part of then I'm looking for the Sanskrit words, dukkha, vimochana, deliverance from all the sufferings, right? But deliverance from all the suffering, does it mean vimochana indicates the same meaning? Aribo, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yes, yeah, that's what I thought. That, of course, the mitigation is coming, or mitigation from all the sufferings coming from dukkha vimochana. And you're right. Then I thought, okay, let's search on this word, because this word, vimochana, you read my mind there, Prabhuji. Vimochana seems to be, or mitigation is coming from vimochana. Then I thought, okay, let's check what the vimochana is. And that's the reason I thought, okay, let's check what this words could do. And then we can go and we can search for this. And in that search, I found that we do have word-to-word translation here. And in that, a lot more details are given. And I think this way of learning could be good, because then we understand that, okay, this is what Srila Prabhupada wants us to understand, rather than what it says on top, what it comes to the surface, right? And what we can learn from Srila Prabhupada, what we can learn from Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji. Remember, I always think of this, and let's pose this as a question for the audience here. When we say ISKCON, International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Now, as far as I understand, when we read 10 offenses, and at the end we say we should not be inattentive while chanting to achieve the main aim and objective, and which is Krishna Prema. Then why Srila Prabhupada didn't put International Society of Krishna Prema? Why Krishna consciousness? And why do we really need Krishna consciousness if Krishna as a word itself, or the Lord itself, explains everything and includes everything? International Society of Krishna Prema, because that's the end goal, or International Society of Krishna. Why Krishna consciousness? Anybody got any thoughts on it, please? Anyone?
So can I add?
Please, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, what I understand is that Srila Prabhupada wants us to be conscious of Krishna all the time.
Mhm.
So Krishna Prema is something which is the prayojana, which we get when we follow the process. So Srila Prabhupada wants us to be wants us to follow the process what he is giving to us, to be conscious of Krishna. To be conscious of Krishna means every activity what we do,
Mhm.
we always should be remembering or doing it for the pleasure of the Lord. So when we are conscious of Krishna, Prema will come automatically. So we don't have to do anything separately. That is the end result of what we do. So this is my understanding.
Hare
Please
Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Completely agree with you, Prabhuji, that if we are in that consciousness, then the aim and objective will fall on. It's not something we really have to endeavor extra separate. But let's hear from Mataji as well. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Then we pronounce.
Hare Krishna,
Please.
Prabhuji. Pranam, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I want to just add, I read one of the Prabhupada's interview. Some journalist was asking Srila Prabhupada why you have kept the name International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Means he could have kept the God consciousness or whatever something.
Yeah.
Then Srila Prabhupada has answered, the Supreme Lord, the God, is having some particular name. So everybody must know that factor. This Supreme Lord is this particular person, Krishna. So that's why he has chosen the name Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada answered in that question, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I remember that.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Yes, you're right. I heard that as well. And another thing Srila Prabhupada mentioned in that respect, that Krishna, Prabhupada said that we will become Krishna conscious later. First, we have to become conscious. Only when we are conscious, we could be Krishna conscious. And that's so true, isn't it? If somebody is sleeping, could we discuss anything with that person? First of all, we have to bring that person in consciousness. And then we can say, okay, now you're conscious, you understand this is your body, this is a material world. let's discuss the higher thing, which is, could be highest for us, but Krishna consciousness. So consciousness is so important. And when this word came into, and this is the word to word translation, where I went through and I thought, okay, when I looked into this mitigation, the most of the time, the thing which came into my mind is the suffering and offenses and the obstacles we have in Krishna consciousness. What stops us becoming Krishna conscious, right? And I thought, okay, that's interesting. Let's get to it, and then we will discuss it even further. So if we get to the next verse, and these are the only two verses we will discuss today. This verse, it says, Tatvavadi sahakala tatvera vichara apna ke hai na buddhi hai na tana sabara. The translation which Prabhupada gives says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji also had a discussion with Tattvavadi community, and Tattvadis felt themselves to be inferior Vaishnavas. And then I did a bit of dwelling why felt inferior. But then Prabhupada explained very nicely in the purpose. And again, as I was thinking that maybe the purport is required this time, that's the reason he has given the purpose. That the Tattvavadi sect belongs to Madhvacharya Vaishnava community, and which is very important for us because we come in the line of Brahma, Madhava, and then Gauriya. Brahma, Madhava, Gauriya Sampradaya. So Madhvacharya ji is one of our acharyas. But, and the great but there, but its behavior, like the Tattvavadi community, even though they come from Madhvacharya's Vaishnava community, but its behavior, like the followers of that, differs from the strict Madhvacharya Vaishnava. So I guess we are, Prabhupada referring us as strict Madhvacharya Vaishnava. Well, maybe not, because obviously then added the Gauriya as well later. So we got into that. But there is a bit of differentiation there between those two, the Tattvavadi and the Madhvacharya Vaishnava principle. There is a great monastery in Uttar Radhi, and one of its commanders was named Raghuvara Tirth Madhvacharya. And there's a lot we can discuss on it. And I was warned, as I said to someone before, that I didn't know anything about Mayavadis or Brahman. Well, I knew a little about Brahman from Upanishads, where, as I said, I read a lot of scriptures before I got in. But I didn't know so much about Mayavadi. And Mayavadi itself, the word, I think, was invented by Srila Prabhupada, or the acharyas in line of Gauriam Sampradaya. Otherwise, in Upanishad, we don't get Mayavadis as such. There are different words which are very similar in Sanskrit. But then I thought, okay, let's do a bit of digging on these places. And this commander, then I thought, well, maybe the way I did for others, like after getting to know about Madhvacharya, if I get into it, I think that could be really harmful. And so I stopped myself there, and I'm not going to discuss this, but very briefly mention a few things. Later in Madhya Lila, chapter 9, we are going to go a bit more detail on this anyways. So I think we can wait for some great devotees to discuss that. But if we take in here, we can see it's not something small. There are so many of those, and nothing on, well, I can think, well, I'm from Delhi, and I left, I'm 41 years old, and I spent 20 years here in London. So I didn't travel that much in South. The only places I visited are, well, I went to Puri, I went to the Dham in Mayapur, and of course, Vrindavan is very close to heart, being next to Delhi. I spent my childhood there. But otherwise, I haven't explored India a lot. Recently, I got the opportunity, I went to Dwarkaji. But those who are from South, I guess what I can see from this map, you might know a bit more about it. But whether it's worth discussing a lot, I don't know if it's a distraction for us. But whether we will go and we will discuss a bit more when we will reach to chapter 9. This is the Mutt website, and a lot more details are there. What do they do? And a lot. And then I was thinking, and I will leave this with you. As I said, I won't go into detail, but I was thinking, if you come here, it says in this purport that, but its behavior differs. Then I was thinking, what way it could differ? Then the reason I'm not going to go to the next verse, because next verse explains a bit more, and that needs some expert guidance. And I'm sure someone else going to do a great service next week, explain more about those great temples. But these two verses, 113, 114 verses, one thing which got to my mind is the word we said mitigation, the word we said the differences, and it says in 114 the behavior differs. And so what kind of behavior? Because they were part of Madhvacharyas, and how it could differ. And the reason I thought about it, because when I came back to London, so I was in Midlands, well, in England, I was in the Midlands, like in the middle of England. But when I came back, I came to south of England, which is London is there. So I'm in south of London, south of England and south of London. And I met a great devotee, 30 plus years in Krishna consciousness. He put together a temple, an ISKCON temple, but later, very good, kind-hearted God brother, he asked me not to be in association with that Prabhuji. And I got surprised. He has been serving for 30 years. He put together the temple, and my God brother, very new God brother, he said not to be in association. But thanks to Krishna that he said it. Reason being that later on I found a letter from the manor kind of rejecting that devotee, because there are a lot of things going on. Then I understood he's banned. And then I thought, why he's banned? Well, he's banned because his behavior was different from the strict Gaudiya Vaishnava principles, right? What it says in 114, purport, what Srila Prabhupada said, that behavior differs. So we all have unique personalities, but still we should be in that framework where we will not go out of it. And I'm sure you would have seen a lot other devotees in your life, because your experience within Krishna consciousness is much more than that. But what I would like to focus now is the rest of session quickly is a great answer, and I felt sorry for that though, which Guru Maharaj Ji gave. Somebody asked them that when somebody asks His Holiness Jayapataka Swamiji Guru Maharaj Ji that why are you experiencing so many bodily discomforts in terms of your health issues? And I heard that in one of the lectures. So I didn't hear Guru Maharaj Ji saying it. I heard it from Amrendra Prabhuji, that he said it, that Guru Maharaj Ji replied this. Guru Maharaj Ji's reply was, I'm having so many health issues because, and all the disciples of Guru Maharaj Ji, all my God brothers and God sisters, if you haven't heard this, I hope this will touch your heart as much as it did mine. And still, it keeps me awake from sleeping. That what Guru Maharaj Ji's reply was, and I thought it's a great opportunity. Before I say that, does anybody remember that anecdote of Guru Maharaj Ji? I know we, Prabhuji put together another forum where I could not contribute a lot, where we discuss a lot of Guru Maharaj Ji's quotes and the lessons. I don't know how far it's going in now, but it's a great service to hear Guru Maharaj Ji every day, at least for a bit of it. Anybody would remember? Anybody would like to guess? Let's say I've been initiated recently. I'm a very, very novice and naive neophyte devotee, literally. But there are many great devotees here, been there for 10 years, 20 years in Krishna consciousness, serving so much. And anyone who would see Guru Maharaj physically these days will say Guru Maharaj is physically in pain. And I don't think anybody could doubt that. Physically, yes. Spiritually, of course not. Because he is still going out and I don't think anything is restricted. But physically he is. And what could his reply be when somebody asked him?
Prabhu, I'm not going to answer this question directly as you are asking, but something similar question I asked Guru Maharaj when I was in UK. It was almost more than 80 years, I think. I was in Birmingham Temple when Guru Maharaj was there. But I didn't ask this question directly, like what you said. But the answer would be similar. What I feel is what you are looking for.
Please.
Is that when I asked, I think I shared this in many times in different forums also. When I was, this was a question asked by me directly, and then the copy, this video is there on Facebook also in one of this one. So I asked Guru Maharaj, what is the message you will give to your disciples, those who are either not following the regulative principles or deviating from regulative principles and falling down. So what is the message you would like to give? I didn't had anybody in my mind when I asked this question, because this was way back more than 8 years. So Guru Maharaj was bit paused. Before he gave the answer, then he looked at a whole audience and he made a statement that I still remember word by word what Guru Maharaj has told. He said, this answer, what I'm going to give, is not only for my disciples, but disciples of every Maharaj in ISKCON, that please don't break regulative principles you have committed while taking initiation. Otherwise, such people, he made it very clear. He paused again. He repeated that word again. He said that such people are called Gurudrohi, and he said they are killer of Guru. So this is a very strong statement he has made, and he went on to say that the result of such deviating or not following the regulative principles committed by the disciples, the spiritual master will suffer. And he gave, again, he didn't see, he's so compassionate. He will not leave the answer to the point. He continues to say, what is the solution for that? Because somebody must be wondering, maybe knowingly, unknowingly I committed or I deviated from following the regulative principles, or what I committed a promise to spiritual master. Then what is my fate? And I'm responsible for my spiritual master's suffering. So he continued to say that. He went on. He said, even if you fail to follow the regulative principles, you've fallen down, don't worry, you start following again. You start following again and don't break again. So he is trying to give a solution to reconnect. That shows the compassion. Reconnect. He is not directly telling that I'm suffering because of you. He says that he gave a very generic answer that if you are not following this, then that will your spiritual master will suffer. And he made it very clear that his answer is not only for my disciples, the disciples of every spiritual master in ISKCON. Please don't break regulative principles, making your spiritual master suffer. So I don't know, Prabhu, whether this is what you are looking for, but this is this message I got from Guru Maharaj.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for sharing that. Birmingham Temple, I still remember maybe I wasn't there at that time, but Birmingham Temple where my wife got initiated. And of course, we visit there a lot. And Prabhuji, even though the conversation was different, and that's where the consistency comes into practice. I remember a Russian devotee once asked in Damodar Desh, I was at my Siksha Guru's residence. He said, I'm amazed. How come you gave the same answer what somebody gave in Russia, a Russian teacher? He said, gave the same answer what you have given. And the Prabhuji just replied back saying that, well, because the source is the same, the scriptures. So the source is same, Guru Maharaj Ji, so he gave that answer. And even here, and this is so heart-touching what you said, Prabhuji, the same thing Guru Maharaj Ji replied back here directly this time, because the answer was very, I think the question was very direct, so answer was direct to the question, that why you still have so many bodily discomforts in terms of health issues. And his reply was that because my disciples, they haven't stopped committing offenses. So we pray whenever we get the messages in WhatsApp or in emails that Guru Maharaj's health going out, we pray to Krishna and request others to pray to Krishna that please chant few more rounds so Guru Maharaj's health will improve. And we say that, oh Krishna, please give a little bit more time to Guru Maharaj so we can have his merciful, compassionate association. But I think going outwards to Krishna, to others, if we rather go inwards and focus, have we stopped committing offenses? Now, of course, there are different kinds of devotees. There are different levels of community, different level of devotees, like we always say Kanishta, Madhya, and Uttam. So whichever level we are, how much and what subtleness, because the offenses could be very subtle. And as it says, it could be, of course, on bodily level, that physically we do the action. It could be verbally we do it. But I guess in spiritual terms, the most impact we have is what we mentally think. Because if we think about, that's what consciousness is, right? We all know the example of that devotee who just prayed to Krishna. He didn't have anything. He just used to offer, the Brahmin who used to offer to Krishna just in his imagination. And one day he was offering rice pudding, kheer, I guess, could be any other sweet. And he thought it might be too hot. Let's just try. And he burnt. And we have seen in the real, somebody will say this is far-fetched example. No, it's not. There are many examples done. There are many examples and experiments done where if somebody is made to believe in something, then the physical reaction will come into it. For example, a very, very, very crude example, a student is sitting next to a river bank and eating and enjoying samosas. Well, I'm from North India, right? So enjoying samosas with the friends because the exams are over, the results going to come out today, but not out. The great music is going, the river is flowing, the wind is breezing, and he's enjoying. But at the same time, and he got a crispy samosa in his hand, not to forget. But at the same time, phone rings and his friend calls and says, so sorry to tell you that your exam wasn't as you expected. You flunked, you failed in one of the exam. You have to reset. And this guy puts the phone down. Now imagine what's going to happen. Is he still going to be happy? No. But why not? What has changed? The river is still there. The breeze is still there. The great music is there. The other friends are there. The crispy samosa is still in the hand. But the consciousness has changed. Isn't it true for all of us? Day in, day out, we do the services. Day in, day out. a lot of times we have to stop a service, or we have to say no to a service because we are busy in some other service. And I guess all, well, if not all, most of the devotees here are preachers. We are busy preaching others. But have we stopped committing offenses? Have we? Because if we have, of course, it's very easy for us to say, well, of course we have, but maybe others, they haven't. And that's why our Guru Maharaj is doing it. Well, I always say, if I can control one person, at least that's me. If I can't control anyone else, as we say, charity starts from home, right? If I can't work on myself, how could I work on anyone else? Of course, right? Okay, it's that time. I think we'd like to open for the questions from anyone. Otherwise, if I still have a few minutes, I can go further. I'll put together a few more slides, but I think this is a great point where we could stop and take some questions if there are any, or some thoughts, some reflections, some realizations. It doesn't have to be questions. I'm not claiming anything that I have answers to all the questions. But of course, as a devotee congregation, we need to help each other. We are on this journey of Krishna consciousness, and mind it, the way Srila Prabhupada ji and Guru Maharaj ji said, we are going to be together there, hopefully, in Goloka Dham. So we better get harmonized with each other and help each other to reach there. Any question, any thoughts, any reflections from anyone? Please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please.
Very nice class, very practical class. So Prabhuji, as you said, the consciousness is very important while doing service. And consciousness, lot depends on the mind. What are the thoughts we have in our mind? And mind, as we know, this is carrying the remnants of the test or activities we have carried out in this life, even the previous life, because with subtle body, mind is going. So even if we try our best, still that remnants of the test, that still comes to our mind. That is why, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, when Arjuna was trying to relinquish everything and going first, to be detached, to take sannyas. So even if those who in different sampradaya, they're sannyasis, and some sannyasis falling down because the test remnant is there still mind. So, but how it will come automatically, even if you do not try, it will come. Because from the different lives after life, the mind is coming with us. So it is very difficult to avoid Prabhuj, but if some tips you can provide, it will be, for me, I am telling. So I am also facing difficulty. Even if I don't, physically I don't do, but that is coming into mind. So how to stop it, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for being so honest and so humble. Of course, we know you are doing great services, but I think just to reach to that level where we can raise our hand and say, I'm suffering. I tell you, this is a great thing to do, because when somebody, remember in the school, in the classroom, and even now when we do Bhakti Vaibhav, we have questions in our heart, but we don't ask. A lot of times, most of the times, of course, depending on the personality, some are introvert, some are extrovert, we wait for others to ask questions, right? And maybe if somebody else has asked, then we can also support. But it's very hard to be the first one to put the hand on your heart and say, I'm suffering. I'm suffering. Right? I don't think I can do that. Prabhuji, to answer your question, let me know if it will. Of course, we all are there, but this is a thought I had. This is a thought I had, that when I read in one of the lectures, that why, well, anyone would like to mention those two? I hope should be easy. Just trying to have somebody else's voice on the recording. Please. Hare Krishna. I can see you have unmuted yourself. JJT, JJD, Prabhuji, I guess. But I can't hear anything. You did have your virtual hand up in a bit.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Prabhuji. Hari bol. Dandavat pranam.
Yeah, Jagai Madai, no?
Jagai Madai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Jagai Madai, they did a lot of offenses, as we know, hundreds offenses. But there was one particular one they didn't do. And that was the reason it was so easy for them to get delivered. I read in, I heard in one of the lectures, they did so many things. They used to go to the scriptures just to figure out which is breaking, which is the regulative principle, so I can break those regulative principles. But there's one thing they didn't do. And there is a good reason why they could not do. They could not do that thing because the circumstances didn't allow them to do one particular thing. And because of that reason, again, I heard it in a lecture, because of that reason, it was so easy for them because they just had one interaction with Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji, I understand. And in one go, they were delivered. Amazing. Well, of course, it's not only them. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji's personality and the potency comes into picture. But what was one thing? Do we remember? Or would we like to guess? One particular thing they didn't do it. And that could be Hare Krishna. Nirazakshi Prabhuji ki jai. Prabhuji Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat pranam. I think, Prabhuji, it is to commit sinful activity on the holy strength of holy name.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yes. Yeah. They didn't offense devotees. They didn't offense the holy name. Reason being, they never went around devotees. Of course, the last thing they did, offending Nityananda Prabhuji, which was the cause of their deliverance. So one thing they didn't do. And that's the reason I think the word in this 113 was mitigation, right? Mitigation of what? Mitigation of offenses. And again, 114, we saw that it was Madhvacharya's community, Tattvavadi, but then drifted a slightly bit, they drifted away from it. So when I heard it, I thought, wow, it's better. And I'm sure we said it before as well in these sessions, that it feels like it's better when we are with them, because we obviously in Krishna consciousness, we say A, B, C, and A is the association, right? And within association, we say that there is only one thing which could go wrong. Anything which is wrong, if we come in association of devotees, it will get fixed, right? We will start following regulative principles, we will start chanting, we will start reading scriptures, and we will slowly, gradually develop the Vaishnava qualities. But there is one thing which will risk, more and more we will associate with devotees, the risk will get higher and higher. And that's the reason I had it here, Prabhuji. And B. Krishna Prabhuji asked the question, Prabhuji, for the consciousness, the approach, what I understand, it's a risk and we need to mitigate risk. Now, in risk management, and this is coming from the material world, in our day-to-day jobs, there are always risks. So some are great engineers here, and of course it's everywhere, but engineers would know very well, and I think the accountants as well. I'm thinking of Prabhuji at the moment, that when we have risks all around us. Only thing we need to do, another great thing, and I asked a lot of time this question, and then of course all my background reading the scriptures, I understood one thing. It says that taking the holy name, taking the name of Krishna just even once, just even once will deliver us. I mean, is something wrong there? We chant 16 rounds, and how many times we take the name of the Lord? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Am I delivered? No. Why not? Well, it says in the scriptures, taking the name of the Lord even once, coming into the association of pure devotee even once, like we have seen the example of Narad Muni. Why? Well, we've been blessed and lucky enough to meet Guru Maharaj Ji, who is a pure devotee. Then why we didn't get delivered? We have taken the name of the Lord so many times. Why we didn't get delivered? So, to answer your simple question, Prabhuji, well, I think most of the time we are external. We look for the mercy of devotees, we look for the mercy of Krishna, we look for the mercy of Guru Maharaj Ji. But I say all those mercies are there. Like Neeraj Dakshi Prabhuji is a great devotee. If I will ask Prabhuji, have you not given all your blessings to me already? Have you saved some? And we can ask the same question from Guru Maharaj Ji. Do we think when Guru Maharaj Ji gave those initiated beads to us, he didn't? Did he keep some blessings with himself? No. But the only trouble is that throughout our Krishna conscious journey, we'll look for, oh, somebody else will do something. This is what Prabhuji, I think. There's a great risk, and we need to learn risk management in doing offenses. But one of the downfall, what I have seen, or I've felt and I've experienced, I could be very well wrong, because of course, different people, different devotees, they have different journeys. But I think one of the reason we sit back and we think somebody else will do it. Krishna will do it. Oh, Guru Maharaj Ji will do mercies. Oh, other devotees, other Vaishnavas will do devote. But what I'm saying is that it's our own responsibility. And Guru Maharaj Ji has said it clear enough that devotees haven't stopped offenses. And the reason, even after taking the name of the Lord so many times, we don't get delivered. Even after meeting the pure devotees, Guru Maharaj Ji's, we don't get delivered because we are full of offenses. Now, of course, we might not be as evident as Jagai Madai, but very subtle way we are. Very, very subtle way we are. And that's the reason I said, if we try to understand the risk management, there are so many risks, and some risks we accept, some we avoid, some we transfer, and some we reduce. This is what we call risk mitigation. The word mitigation is so interesting. How Srila Prabhupada Ji used the word mitigation? Why didn't he use any other word there? He could have. But isn't this what we do in Krishna consciousness? Avoid, for example. I was there in Muscat, and I was lucky enough, and I'm looking for the name. Prabhuji is not there. Prabhuji, I got the great opportunity, must be my past karma. I stayed with the Prabhuji, and Prabhuji said, so I was going with other devotees to hear somebody else from Shri Sampradaya in Krishna temple in Muscat, in Mathura Desh. And when I came back, Prabhuji asked me, where did you go? And I said, Prabhuji, I went there. It was a great lecture, and I learned this. Prabhuji said, no, we should avoid. We should avoid. And I thought, avoid? He's a Vaishnava. No, but he's not from our Sampradaya. We should avoid. So he's avoiding that risk that he's not from our Sampradaya. So we might do some kind of offense to him. Well, fair enough. But then I went to other great devotees, and I will take the name because most of you would know Baldaini Mataji's place. I used to go for Bhagavatam sessions, and Mataji and Prabhuji, both of them, they invited the same preacher from Sri Sampradaya at their residence where we used to go. And that day, that great Vaishnava from Sri Sampradaya gave the lecture. And when I came home and I spoke to this Prabhuji, I said, Prabhuji, our leaders are doing it. And he said, well, that's their trouble. Which is, now again, don't paraphrase me, don't go back and discuss these things with or don't catch this Prabhuji. Or Baldani Prabhuji, Baldani Mataji and Prabhuji we can speak to. But this Prabhuji, who's not there, otherwise I would have mentioned his name. But what he said is that's him or her. They are taking that risk, which is transferring the risk. This is not mine, this is theirs. And in Krishna consciousness, we do this a lot, right? And I can give another great example on my name, which happened last week. And another great devotee, a lot of us would know, got engaged. Again, I'm not saying anybody is doing anything wrong. Sorry, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Baldaini Mataji was doing anything wrong, or that Prabhuji I stayed, he's doing anything wrong. I'm not saying. What I'm saying is, this is what we do. And these are great leaders. They're doing a great service. And I pay all my obeisances to them. I learned a lot from all of them, and I still do. But what I'm saying is that this is the kind of mitigation we do. And maybe, like what Prabhuji said, maybe Prabhuji, if we just do a bit of introspection. So rather than relying a lot more, if we raise our hand and if we take the responsibility that I need to improve, not that the mercy will improve me, I need to improve, I think a great result will come in that. But before we go any further, let's listen to hear from Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Hari
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Wonderful point you touch based. I would like to add something for the incident what you narrated. Nothing to do with that particular incident, but the lesson behind or the understanding behind the point what whoever has told you not to hear from other sampradayas. I'll tell you two things from here. Why we hear this point from many senior devotees that avoid hearing from devotees of other sampradayas. Two things will happen. This is my realization, my experience. It is not that what they are saying is wrong. Their mood is different. Because these are all authorized sampradayas. Every sampradaya, whatever we discuss, like with the Sri Sampradaya, they're all authorized sampradayas. Perfectly, they have perfection in their own understanding. The point here is our mood, our Sampradaya's mood is totally different from the other Sampradaya's mood. So when we hear from them, two things will happen. One is that we unknowingly think that, oh, this person, what he's saying is wrong. So we start thinking negative about those people, and we end up committing offenses. So this is always a very, very important point which we overlook. We say that we think that when senior devotees say that don't hear from other sampradayas, doesn't mean that they are saying wrong and we get polluted. No. This point is valid only for, again, I'll come to the same point of what Srila Prabhupada always used to say, hearing from Mayavadi philosophers. This is where this point will become that we may get polluted, or that may happen in case of Mayavadi. That in case of authorized sampradayas, that chances are very, very less, because each of these four sampradayas, what has been given in the scriptures, they are authorized. So nothing wrong to hear, as you rightly said, Baldev Mataji and Prabhu, they invited devotee, Sri Sampradaya devotee to their house. So what is the difference? One is not that they are taking a risk, but their understanding is much better than us. That when they invite them, say Baldev Mataji, she is so exalted devotee, and they never take what the other devotee was saying in a negative sense. So they understand that what they are saying is truth, and they also understand that their mood is different, our mood is different, because you started talking about Madhva Sampradaya in between, and then why ours is called Madhya Gaudi Sampradaya, because Madhva Sampradaya is actually I belong to Madhva Sampradaya by birth. So I know that their mood is exactly the same of ours, but ours is Radharani was added. So we are called, we are the Gopi Bhava. So with that mood, when we try to hear from them, they'll never talk about gopis, they talk about only Krishna. So we may think that, oh, they're not correct. So they're not wrong. They're not wrong. Only thing is, their understanding is different, their mood is different. Their understanding is not wrong again. So this is the reason why I feel that senior devotees say that avoid. So they don't say that don't attend, because avoid means here. Even when I was in initial days of Mathura Desh in 2018-19, those days I used to. There are so many wonderful preachers used to come. One Mataji came from Chinmaya Mission. I still remember. So she was telling so nice, so beautiful about pastimes of Krishna. But a whole conversation, she didn't use the word Krishna even once. All the wonderful pastimes are covered, but nothing, no reference about Krishna. So then I was told that not to attend, not avoid. So this is what I feel is that why we need to avoid is that we don't understand their mode. Their mode is different. Their understanding is different. Our mode is different. So better always we hear. We say that always. So Prabhupada has written so much of. He left so much for us to study his own scriptures or his own translations. So we don't have time to go outside. So this is my understanding.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, and I completely agree. That and that's why I said it's actually a risk in one terms that if we get associated with them, then we might misunderstood. And this is what Prabhuji rightly said, that without saying the word mood, that if we will go and we will attend, then they say something else, we think of something else, and then it could be like committing an offense. And what's the need of doing it? Because we already are so busy in our devotional services, which is fair enough. And so there was no conflict as such, but of course apparently it looks like a conflict because one says yes, one doesn't say, but I completely agree with you, Prabhuji. So Veer Krishna, Prabhuji, what you said, did you get any reflection on that though? It's hard, we all are there, but this is why I think introspection is much more required than just being busy in devotional services. Services.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, your point is very clear. And also one of the points you told that the risk factor. And you emphasize when we are meeting so many devotees, the chances of committing mistake will also increase sometime. So that point also stuck to me, Prabhu. So sometimes we feel excited to meet, so a senior devotee, and we go to meet them. But at the same time, we should know what is the risk involved. Even Prabhupada mentioned in Bhagavatam many places, like a person who is staying near to king or near to spiritual master, so they are in a great risk.
Yes.
Because if just a simple mistake they will do, so they will completely fall down. Because the king may kill him, or the spiritual master may reject him. So when we are meeting so many devotees and senior devotees, the risk is also at the same time increasing. Though their blessing and everything will increase. At the same time, risk is also increasing. So we should be careful. So this point I liked very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And we are nearly at the end of it, but just on that, what Prabhuji said, a great point comes into picture that why, and the answer is there in the slide if you can see. Well, there are so many risks when we get in Krishna consciousness. Like we have seen the example of Jagai Magai, they couldn't do the biggest risk which we could do because we get associated with devotees and they don't. But why do we take such a risk? In one way, it feels like Jagai and Madai, they were better off doing all those. Not that we would like to go and follow their paths, but they ended up nicely with the Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji's mercy. But we take all those risks. So there are so many risks with just a hope that one day we are going to get that reward. Isn't it true? Does that make sense? And why do we take so many risks? Just because we are looking for that one reward, that being with devotees, we will get further, and it's a very narrow path, because devotees are all around us. If you would like to get associated with devotees, and different kind of devotees, different types of devotees, different background, different cultures, and a lot of different thinking. As I said, day before yesterday, I was having a discussion with somebody in Mayapur regarding my name. So now, if okay, I will briefly mention, because my name was discussed in this forum as well. Srila Gurudev ji so mercifully gave me the name Varunapati Govinda Das, which I never liked. I still don't like it. Many devotees say it should be a blessing, you should like it. I say, I understand I should like it, but honestly, the truth is, I don't like it. I don't. Me being me, I went back to Guru Maharaj Ji. And I said, Guru Maharaj Ji, could I do something? First of all, it's Varuna Pati. It keeps reminding me I'm a Pati, I'm a husband. And then Varuna, my karmic name is Varun Sharma. So those who know me, they still call me Varuna or Varun. And there are different variations. Nobody reaches to Govinda. Shall I reduce it? Shall I say to, So I offered. I said, Guru Maharaj Ji, could I use, with your permission? So I think I said, do I have your permission to condense my name to VP Govinda Das? And I was ready for the chastisement. But Guru Maharaj Ji, being Guru Maharaj, he said, of course, Srila Prabhupada Ji used to write AC Bhaktivedanta. So if you want to do VP Govinda, go for it. And I said, thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. But still, even though on the screen I put VP Govinda Das, still when the devotees come through, they still somehow find out, oh, it's Varunapati. And then they start calling me Varunapati. It's like teasing me. I don't know why. But of course, this is a kind of risk we go through. And then somebody said to me that from Mayapur, that you should not do it. Oh, didn't clearly say that you should not do it, but later on admitted that her Siksha Guru, who is also in Middle East, he used to do the same. And his initials were also VP. So she said, that's the reason I'm not calling you VP, because that reminds me of my Siksha Guru. I call you Varunapati. I said, well, fair enough, and I like it. No worries. But then at the end, she said, well, we should not use it. And interesting enough, if you know Manor, at Bhaktivedanta Manor, we got a great devotee who has recently, when I say recently, I think 3-4 months back, got sannyasa. So his name, initially karmic name was Sandeep. And then, and this is a very familiar name, Sutapa Prabhuji. And a lot of us, we are in love with Sutapa Prabhuji, or was in love now. I used to hug. My height is like 5'7", his height is 6. So I used to hug him. And before sannyasa, I went the weekend before, I hugged him and I said, this is one thing I'm going to must, because after your sannyasa, you will be Swamiji Maharaj, I won't be able to hug. He gave his enchanting smile. And now his name is His Holiness Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Swamiji Maharaj. Now what he writes? S.B. Keshav Maharaj. Right? And these are kind of leaders we are aiming for. And solve the purpose. Completely solve the purpose. I don't see any problem there at all. And one of the, another, I'm thinking of the name, Girajji Swamiji Maharaj and Jaya Janardhan Swamiji Maharaj from France. He delivered the class last Sunday and he picked on that. And he said, you wouldn't mind if I just call you Keshav Maharaj because your name is too big to remember. That happened last Sunday. So again, somebody takes a small name, somebody takes full name. Some people might think it's a risk, but we need to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. And we take all those risks. Of course, when I request others to reduce my name or condense my name to VP Govinda, that's a risk as well, because sometimes people think different reasons. And they might think, well, he like it. And all. These are all our risks. But I tell you at the end, and maybe we didn't, maybe this is the last thing I say, that how do we figure out that we are progressing further in Krishna consciousness? One verse from Bhagavad Gita comes to my mind, 15:15. Sarvasya chaham hirde sannivishto mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. When we can see Krishna in everyone's, including Mayavadis and all, when we have love and affection for everyone, and maybe Uttam Adhikari would say that now we just see devotees all over. We see Krishna in all of them, in form of Paramatma, in form of Super Soul. We don't see any Kanishta, Madhya, or Uttam at Uttam Adhikari level. Maybe, I don't know, because I'm not there, but maybe they will reach to the level what chapter 5, verse 18 says, that an elephant, a cow, a dog eater, a chandala, they all will be equipoise. When we will get that vision, where we can see everyone on the same level, where we can see Krishna in everyone, maybe that's the success of our Krishna consciousness. This is what my understanding at the moment. Might change next week. With that, I take your permission. Thank you so much, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev Maharaj ki jai, Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you so much for the association. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share a few words. And thank you so much for your involvement, all of you who have. And hopefully going further, we will have more and more discussions to cherish and to learn from each other. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thanks for a very practical session and a very interactive session you delivered today. One point which there are so many take-home messages, as you always say. One point which is really striking my heart is that you mentioned about chanting more rounds when Guru Maharaj is sick, and that point actually it is very, very practical. Always I used to think whenever I hear this messages floating around in the WhatsApp and Facebook, Guru Maharaj is sick and requesting every one of us to, his disciples to chant more. Yes, that is required because Prabhupada always says that if you want, only thing we need to pray Krishna, that if he wants me to be around, so you can pray. So that is always a mood of acharyas. But when I hear this message, when I see this message, always first thing I used to question myself. Is chanting more rounds is one aspect, but am I doing anything wrong? This is always a first question which hits my heart. And this is what every disciple should question, as you rightly mentioned. Every disciple should question themselves. Am I doing something wrong that my spiritual master is suffering? Because he himself has told this, that because of offenses of my disciples. So that makes it very, very clear for us that am I doing something wrong? So every time when I hear this, I always used to think, and wherever I know I'm not perfect, I'm doing so many offenses, but I try to at least putting efforts to make sure that I'm not committing offenses. So this is very important for every disciple, every devotee to question themselves. Of course, chanting more rounds is always good for our own purification and also benefit of other devotees for whom we are chanting, because Lord hears from other devotees' prayers. So it is important to chant more rounds, but more than that, always I believe, and you made it very, very nice point. You highlighted a very nice point that we need to question: am I doing something wrong? Am I offending? Am I deviating from regular principles? This is very important. Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks for highlighting this. And
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The Kartik month is starting from tomorrow. Everybody
Yes.
says that do more and more chanting, but maybe what we could do that we will
Less,
only do, we will
not
only
do more, but less offenses.
Yes.
Do more chanting,
Yes.
less offenses.
less
That is more
offensive.
important than
Yes.
doing more rounds of chanting.
Maybe we have taken the promise and oath that we will only do 16, but do that offenselessly, because taking the name of the Lord even once offenselessly will deliver. But
And also try to it's a kind of resolution, so-called every year we take, and that at least during this Kartik month, we'll take a resolution, will not hurt or will not offend devotees. That's also important. So
very
doing more is good. Doing less also is important. Less offenses is important.
yes, doing
Thank you, Prabhu.
consciously, very consciously. And on that note, I will please forgive me if I have intentionally, because of the way I speak sometimes. I don't beat the bush around. I usually go very direct. So please forgive me if unintentionally I have done any offense to any one of you. Trust me, it wasn't intended at all. Not only now, but earlier in the past, when somebody might have thought otherwise. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Govinda Prabhu.
Hare
Thank you, all the devotees, for attending this wonderful interactive session by Grace V.P. Govinda Prabhu. And next week, we are going to hear from His Grace Veer Krishna Prabhu, continuing from 115 onwards. So Prabhu had covered 113 and 114, only 2 slokas. Prabhu, Veer Krishna will continue from 115. Veer Krishna Prabhu, please confirm. Of course, you already sent a confirmation to me.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Krishna, Vipugan Prabhu can just glorify Chaitanya Charitamrita and author and Acharya, so that we can conclude the session here.
Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Kaviraj Goswami ji ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev Maharaj ki jai, Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Panchadal Padavika Sindhu.